I might go off video because I have my food in front of me, so I want to eat my
Okay,
breakfast.
you need to eat.
So,
Go off video.
like, it just finished cooking, and I like totally spaced and forgot that this was at 10.
All right. Well, we're checking in, and I wanted to just see and hear how things are going with each of you while you're running. See who has questions. Just let's jump in and do that. And then I'm gonna also talk a little bit about the tracking tools of what I use, what apps are out there, that kind of thing, just to let you guys know the different tool sets that are sitting out there. So who wants to start and tell us how their week went?
I can, I guess.
Great.
I'm using an app called Strava, and I just really, and actually Sani actually recommended it to me, and actually another friend had recommended it to me like 3 times, but of course it took Sani saying you should try Strava for me to try it. But I really like it because it tracks my distance, and then it tracks my pace. So, you know, as I'm trying to get a little faster pace, and then like last night, okay, I'm doing 2.5 miles, right, instead of 2. So I'm like, oh, okay, I need to do another like quarter mile out, a quarter mile back. So using my Strava app, I could just determine exactly how much that was. I really like it. I really like Strava.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
And the runs felt good?
Yeah. I just, thanks for doing this, Peter. I mean, it's just been so great to have sort of this framework of the training schedule to like be accountable to. It's really kind of a game changer for me. I mean, I'm getting out more than I would, and I just love having the accountability of like, oh, this is the schedule, I need to do this, and it's good.
Absolutely. That's good.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate it.
All right. Who wants to talk next and tell us how their running for the week went?
I'll go. Hi, it's Vidya. Sorry, I'm at work, so I can't have my camera on. It's gotten easier for sure, and a lot more enjoyable, even if I have to push myself sometimes. Taking a break this week, because I ended up hurting, my hamstring's been hurting all of last week, and I was just like, keep with the schedule, gotta run. And it felt horrible yesterday. And I've also been kind of doing a little bit of weight, so I think like the combination of it has been a little nasty. I have been following your stretching, but not great. And I have protein, but not all the time. So I think a lot of factors are kind of like led to it. So I'm taking like a week off, and I'm feeling really bad about it for the first time in my running life, which is a very short running life, but still. So, but it's gotten easier. I think like I've been able to take lesser breaks, or I've been able to take breaks after running longer distances. My pace has improved, and I've become a lot more conscious, I think, of how I'm running, because a lot of times I'm like, is this a stride, or am I just like going tap, tap, duck feet or something? So I think it's just getting a lot more conscious. I don't know if I'll still be able to do like anything below like a 15-minute mile or something, but it's nice to feel a little more conscious about it and not hate it. So I'm still happy about that.
That's great. So I'm really happy that you're sharing it like this and just being honest how you're feeling around this stuff. And when you do get injured, it's so hard. And there's a lot of this guilty talk going on in your head about how you should be out there. But you really got to listen to that body of yours. And if it says it needs rest, then you got to rest. And running injured sucks. So just, some people will just keep going at it. And I'm probably one of those people that will just keep going. And then it gets to a point where it becomes chronic injury, and then it sucks. Then you're out for like 2 months. So it's better to take, a couple days off or a week off, and you're not going to really lose fitness in 1 week. Okay. You're not going to lose fitness in 2 weeks. It takes like 20 days or something like that to really kind of start to really feel like you've lost a lot. So don't worry about that part of it. Keep your self injury free or resting. So make sure you're doing the things like resting, icing it, doing some light stretches on it. And then if you have a physical therapist that you can talk with, it's always good to say, hey, something hurts. How do I strengthen this thing? What are the different core muscles that I should be focusing in on to help strengthen the area up? And it's not just that one muscle group. It's typically something else that's not as strong, right? That leads to the injury of that other muscle. And then let's see here. What else did you say? Pace and stuff like that. I know you guys want to run faster. Everybody wants to get faster, but this Couch to 5K was really just about us getting going. And let's not worry so much about how fast we're running right now. Let's just make sure that, we're enjoying it. And if you're enjoying it, then you're doing a great job. Okay.
Thanks, Peter. Yeah, it's been great. I think like this pain, which has really made me just shut up and sit down, has kind of been, because it was slightly hurting last week and I just kept going. And to the point where yesterday, like getting up from work was like, oh, okay, that hurts a little bit. So no, I mean, you're right about the guilt and everything, but it's trying not to be hard, because also you said that too, like 2 weeks ago, and just be like, I'll be back. I mean, week 5 will still be waiting for me and I'll come back to it. But yeah, I just don't want to hate running and falling, like getting more injured and then hate running in the process.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you.
Good. And if you don't have a foam roller, make sure you get one. Those are magic.
I got one because I think you'd said so in another, I didn't do it. So I think this is all happening from me not following up like the entire, like not treating running like an actual, like the way it should be done, with stretches before, with, the right need. I think for me, it was just so important to like get out there and run, because that's something I've never done. But I think this is a little bit of an eye opener, that it's not as simple as like get up and run and do, but like things matter. And I'm feeling it now, but I want to just be a little more cognizant going forward that there's a lot more to it.
Yeah. If you foam roll before you run, it really helps. Like this morning, I kind of woke up and I think it was my right calf muscle was feeling a little tight. So I was like, foam roll it out, and then it feels fine. And then, I'm walking around and I don't feel like I've got some weird strain on it, So try foam rolling regularly.
Thanks,
before and after.
Thank you.
Yep. Who else wants to share? MJ says, having internet issues this morning and my video and mic won't operate. Sorry, I have a question. Any tips for running in hot weather? We're getting close to hitting 100 degrees Fahrenheit this week here in Davis, California. And I've noticed that running when it's hot out is much, much harder. Been trying to run during cooler parts of the day, but sometimes it's still hot at the times that I can run. So yes, running during hot temperatures is way more taxing on the body, or not taxing, but it's just so dehydrating. So making sure you drink water, at least a half an hour beforehand, drink water. You can also run with a water bottle. Handheld water bottles are great, or the little water bottles that can clip onto your waist. Those ones are fine as well. And on my spreadsheet, I think I put down some resource guides on like what kinds of water bottles that I actually use. Let's see, other things about heat: you will not run as fast and for as long in the heat. You're gonna run slower. And I would just say, if you're running, I'm gonna make up a number, like let's say you're running a 9-minute mile pace. If it's really hot outside, run 10-minute mile pace and be okay with that. It just takes a lot more energy to run and keep your body cool. So let's see. And let's see here. What else did she say? That's crazy. It's like 90 degrees. Oh, somebody else video was saying. Okay. It's 90 degrees here in Houston. Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely, if we can wake up early and run when it's still 60 degrees or 70 degrees, that's way easier. Or late at night kind of sucks sometimes, but if you can safely run at night, then that's another time to do it. All right. Anybody else want to jump in and say how their week's going? All right, Bree.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Peter, I've been wanting to say thank you and specifically note that some of the tips that you gave us early on with Foot Strike, applying that helped me to just adjust a little bit. And, I communicated with you early on that I was dealing with like some potential like calf shin injury that was creeping on. And by doing that, and I think, so like 2018, I hadn't been running for a while, lost all my conditioning, decided to do a marathon. And so it was like, started way in advance and started building up to it. And I was following a training program, but I injured my calf, and still not exactly sure what I did, but I was at a point where I was limping, just walking. It was really bad. Took a win out of sales and knocked me out of the game. But during that time, I also did a run clinic and was like trying to pick up speed. And anyways, that to say, I think what I was doing was overcompensating to avoid a heel strike by going a little bit too much on my toes. And so paying attention to Foot Strike, where I'm like honing in on hitting kind of midfoot to the ball and keeping that balance right under my body. And I think it's really made a difference because I haven't dealt with the leg injury. It's gone away. And so I'm very, very happy about that. It's been wonderful. So now it's been almost 2 years since I've been able to run without that issue. And then with that too, having the little bit of warm-up exercises that you gave us, and I've been doing Adrian 7-minute and creating this ritual of like it's not that much, and I've also been doing which really seems to just overall like be strengthening my body and making a difference in my running too. So that's where I'm at. It feels really good.
That's great. It's awesome to hear that your Foot Strike may have helped a little bit with the pain that you've had in the past. And I definitely focus in on that when I'm running. Is not all the time, but I'll sit there and I'm like, how is my running form right now? How does it feel right now? And when you start to think about that, you start thinking about like, this kind of hurts, or I've been running for a long time, or those kinds of things. And you start to realize that, oh, my form's getting sloppy. And when your form gets sloppy, then you start straining weird parts of your body, and then it starts to break down, and then there starts to be pain, and all the other things start happening, right? A good, efficient running form is going to, not feel like it hurts at all, right? It's just going to feel, oh, I'm kind of light and little effort, right? It's about your feet hitting the ground, and it feels light. And when you're pounding your legs down and you're running really hard, that's a lot of energy, right? That's a lot of pain. That's sending that jarring motion up your legs into your hips. And so when you're thinking like light, then it actually makes you go faster too. So the speed comes later on, but it's the focusing on the form and getting your feet to really move lightly, then your cadence will pick up, then your speed will actually pick up. And then you're not even feeling like you're working too hard. So that's great that you're running like that right now. That's awesome. All right. So I think one thing that I wanted to do was touch on the spreadsheet and make sure that we touch a little bit about what's inside there. I'm going to do a share screen here. All right. So on the resources page of our training guide, there is a bunch of stuff in there. I talk about shoes. We've talked about soles. Haven't really talked about socks too much, but I wear Smartwool socks. I'm just letting you guys know what I use. You guys go do whatever you want to go buy, but I just have found that those socks are awesome. They're just perfect for wicking away sweat, and they feel super comfortable. I should own Smartwool Smartwool stock because I pretty much I must have like 20 pairs, and like for hiking, running, walking, whatever, right? It's just, they're my go-to socks. Shirts and stuff, pretty much anything technical fiber, wicks away all the sweat, doesn't retain it, doesn't get heavy on your shirts, those kinds of things. Let's see. Anyway, I don't need to go through all of these things here, and we talked about some nutrition stuff from last week. Hopefully you guys found that to be valuable with Tara. And yeah, so I wanted to talk a little bit about the tracking websites. So I've found that it's good to have some different tools and apps to track your running. And oh, one other thing I forgot to put down here was Map My Run. All right, so I started out running like I started really running a lot, maybe about 8 years ago. And then 5 years ago is when I started doing the marathon stuff. But I started using Map My Run at the very, very beginning. And that was kind of cool because it's got my lifetime running metrics inside there. So even though I don't look at it very often, and that's not really my go-to tool anymore, I have one place that actually stored all my runs from the time I've really started running. So you can look back year after year what you've done, and it's just kind of cool to see all the data there. And then the other thing that I regularly will use Map My Run for is when I go to a new city, I will go map out like their half marathon course, and I will go run it in the morning, right? And it allows me to see the city and see it in a really great way. And the mapping tool within Map My Run is actually really quite helpful. So if you're looking for a tool that will help you map out a new route, you can say, you know, I'm going to run from my house and I'm going to go down this street and I'm going to go around that block and then I'm going to come back this way. And you can map out something that's specific for what you need to run that day. So that way you can create a new course and you don't have to run the exact same route every single time. So that's the only tool that I know of that actually allows you to map it all out. Okay. The other thing that I use is Strava. So I have all my running apps. So I use a Garmin watch. I should start there. A Garmin watch, and then my Garmin watch feeds the data to Map My Run. It feeds the data to Strava. And there's these little connectors that you can just set up and you just allow it to log into these different things. And so once your run is recorded, the data automatically gets pushed to these other things. And then you can look at the data in different ways. So Strava is definitely one of those that I push my data to. And there's a whole bunch of different reasons why Strava is nice, but I find it to be more community-based. There's other people sitting out there doing those kinds of runs that you're also doing, or there may be a group that you can join on Strava and you can track your friends and see how they're doing. Like we could technically set up a Couch to 5K Out Wild Strava group, and all of our runs from our 5K training could be populated inside there. And then just seeing that everybody else did their run that day is so motivating. And you're like, ooh, they're done. And I need to get mine done. And then you look at it at the end of the week and you look at your cumulative miles and you're like, okay, you know, I reached the goal for the week, right? So there's stuff like that. Accountability comes into play on that kind of stuff. And then Strava also gets competitive too, but we're not focused in on any of the competitive stuff. But if you really wanted to see how fast, you know, somebody else was running, you could look at their data. You can look at their, you know, their pace. You can see how much elevation was in their run. You know, it's that kind of stuff. And then the Garmin Connect, I don't know what kind of watches you guys are using, but Garmin is, I don't know, there's like a couple different brands out there that are really popular, right? You have your Apple Watches, you've got your Garmin Connects, and then you've got Sunto, I think, is probably one of the popular ones. So I just happen to be a Garmin user just because of the triathlon stuff that I train for, and it's great for tracking all different kinds of things like hiking and running and swimming and biking, and you can do these things indoors and outdoors, and you could be on a treadmill, you could be outside. It's like, it's just pretty flexible that way, and it tracks lots of different things. And then also it does a fitness score as well, and it's basically your VO2 max score. And it's for me, it's just nice to know whether or not my fitness level's going up. Is it kind of just stable, or is it actually decreasing? And you know, it's I'm a data guy. I like knowing what I'm doing and whether or not it's working, or is it effective, or am I improving, that kind of thing. All right, questions regarding the tracking stuff, tracking websites and that kind of thing? Is anybody using something that I didn't talk about that maybe you feel like is really great? Is anybody there?
I use Fitbit. It's very simple in comparison to Garmin, but it does the trick. I think it's a little overshoots it, so it makes me a little happy. Even if I'm doing 3 miles, it shows me 3.6. So kind of makes me feel a little happy, but it's all right. It does the job.
Cool, good. I had a Fitbit really early on too.
Yeah.
How's your running going, Mitol?
It's kind of interesting. I mean, I have my days, and I was gonna ask you that a little bit. Is that you recommended running first thing in the morning, or at least you do that. So I tried doing that, and somehow not able to run as much. Like I decided, okay, I'm gonna run a couple miles today. I get tired much faster. But if I eat something like a banana or whatever, toast, and then run after an hour, I'm able to go, much able to run more in general. So that's one observation. I don't know if it's as I'm new, as I'm just getting started into this. The other thing I've kind of noticed is my calf muscle kind of hurts more than anything else. So that's another observation, I guess.
Yeah. So everybody's going to have a different time of day that they like to run at, and when their bodies are awake and moving, and maybe I don't know if you're stretching or spending a little time doing some foam rolling or stretches before you run, or do you just go out the door right away? But your body does need to warm up, and it needs to feel like it goes from horizontal lying in a bed to standing up to getting your muscles and blood flowing a little bit. So even one of the things we really haven't talked a lot about is like when we start our running, I do a warm-up run. My first for me, my first mile is all 100% just warm up. It's not, I don't care what speed I'm going as slow as I can possibly go, really. And it's just about getting the muscles to really loosen up and relax. But I know that as soon as I've done that 1 mile warm up, man, I am just ready to fly after that. Right. And so it doesn't have to be a full mile, right? It can be, I'm going to go run, I'm going to warm my body up for 5 minutes or 3 minutes even, right? Just to get it moving, but go slow, and just know that I don't care what my pace is. So some people I used to care. I used to care what my overall pace was for my entire run. I don't care anymore. What I care about is that in the first, predefined time period that I'm going to run my warm up, I know that's my warm up. And my warm up is going to be a lot slower than my run, if that makes sense. And then my body's ready to go, though, when I'm inside my run period. And then I track what is the speed on that particular section. Okay. And then in terms of food and stuff like that, yeah, sometimes you just need to have a little something in your stomach to give yourself some energy to allow you to go. So go with what works. And bananas are great. And also foam roll. It sounds like your calf muscle probably needs it.
Yeah, I've been doing stretching exercises. What would you recommend? It definitely helps a lot in comparison. But yeah, I've not been doing foam rolling yet.
The foam rolling is magic. It hurts, but it is actually really, really good. And it makes all these little pains and things kind of go away. So try that.
Got it.
All right. Anybody else have questions and thoughts around the different tracking tools or apps, website stuff out there?
So anything that there for motivation or something when half the run or three-fourths of the run, you're just like tired, bored, like, you know what, I don't want to run anymore.
I think just setting those small little goals when you're out there and saying, I'm going to run to the next tree or the next light pole or next house, and saying, I think I can do that, right? Or look at your watch and just say, I feel like I'm tired, but can I run for one more minute? And if you think about those kinds of things, that might help. The other thing is I listen to podcasts when I'm running, and I listen to running podcasts. So it's like people talking about running, and they're normally like amazing athletes that have just won some crazy ultra marathon race or something like that, right? And they're talking about what they did, and you hear the joy of when people are that like to run talk about running, and then you're out there running and you're like, this is awesome. So that's kind of infectious. Maybe try there's the Trail Runner Nation is a great podcast, super fun. You don't have to be a trail runner to be listening to that to enjoy it. Ginger Runner Live is the other one that I listen to. And so if you have Spotify, you can find both of those, or maybe you can find them on Apple Play or whatever it is that Apple has.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. If we don't have anything else, we're going to shut this call down and let you guys get on with your day.
Peter, I have one question, unrelated to the apps, but I feel like Meatwall brought this up a few weeks ago. Either you or anybody else, what are you running with? Like, are you running with a lot of stuff? I feel like I have my phone. If I'm running with my dog, I have her leash. And sometimes I have like a whole utility belt for my dog with like her treat bag and like bag for like poop bags and stuff like that. And then my keys, which is like people at work call me the maintenance guy because I have like 100 keys. I'm doing my best to like leave some things back at home, but how are you managing that? I have to run out with my keys, definitely my phone. If any of you are running with dogs, like I mean, I don't know, like how do you kind of reconcile that? It's a lot.
Yeah. Does anybody have a suggestion before I jump in? All right, I'll jump in. I don't have a dog, but keys and things like that. Yeah, if you have a lot of keys, maybe you can just bring that one key that you need, or leave a key under a rock and not have to bring it at all. The other thing is, I sometimes, if I have to bring some different things, I'll put on a flip belt. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but you can go look up flip belt and go find them out online. But it's basically like made out of that stretchy material, and you can shove some stuff around it. It sits on your hip and it feels a lot more comfortable, and maybe that can be a way to not carry around anything bulky. I really don't like running with bulky stuff, and I like to keep my hands free from holding on to things when I'm running too. So my phone is never in my hand. It's always in a pocket or inside a flip belt or something like that. Yeah, so everything you have to carry is just weight, and that just means it's stuff that slows you down. So.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. I need to get better at it. I've been thinking of those waist belts, like the one MJ just said. But I think I just need to be better at not carrying like carry-on baggage when I run, which is really difficult with a dog because like she's crazy. So yeah, and yeah, I have to take at least like 2 keys to like when I head out, and I'm trying to figure out a system. But I was hoping someone would be like, me too. I carry so much stuff, but I guess no one else does, so that sucks.
Well, it's good to find out what other people are doing, and sometimes you have to carry some things around with you. And the other thing I would ask you is if, Amanda was saying that she can't run with dogs, and they stop way too much. And I would imagine that does break up the flow of running. So you might try it, see what the difference feels like when you run without your dogs or with your dogs, and maybe you're running just your time for you and you go run, and then you have your time with your dogs and that's the walk, right? And separate those two things out. I don't know. And there's some other good suggestions in there. It's like hydration packs, and maybe that way you can hold more things inside the hydration pack when you're running. And there's hydration vests too. And I use those for my trail runs, but they also make for great backpacks because they're, I've got a pouch, and maybe you're not going to bring the whole entire water container thing in the back of it, but you can shove a little bit of stuff back there, like doggy bag stuff. All right. Okay, guys. Well, it's been fun talking about running. My favorite topic.
Thank you, Peter.
You guys have a great day, and let me know how the next week goes.
Thank you.
Will do.
Have a good day.
Ha-
Thank you, Peter.
Happy running.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Bye, everybody.